Good afternoon and welcome to the very first Energy Transport Insider video blog. Today is September the 15th, 2017. My name is Cliff Linton. I'm the editor and publisher of Energy Transport Insider, and I'm glad to have you here watching us today. I wanted to go over some of the topics that have been covered in this week's issue of the newsletter, which is coming out this afternoon. The very first, as always, we cover the market for tank car subleases for pressure cars, those that are used to carry liquefied petroleum gas. This week, we saw 3 and 6 month subleases remain relatively flat. 3-month leases were running about $1,200 per car per month. Some of the factors supporting car lease prices included demand in Alberta for cars, basically due to the hurricanes. Tank cars that had carried loads from Alberta down into Florida and along the Gulf Coast were shut in due to the railroad service shutdowns, and they haven't been making it back. The railroads are dealing with congestion and restoring their services, so that has left cars not turning as quickly as possible. In addition, we've got the fact that Sunoco Logistics back in early August announced a delay of the opening of its Mariner East 2 pipeline, the one that would carry natural gas liquids from the Marcellus and Utica shale areas in Ohio and western Pennsylvania to the Marcus Hook export terminal. So when they announced the delay, people who had put cars away, not expecting to be needing them for the winter, all of a sudden decided that they needed to get them. So that put a lot of demand into the market for tank cars on a short-term basis. Also, we have CSX Railroad, which is undergoing a major operational overhaul. They're making improvements on this, but that caught up with them in the middle of the summer and in the latter part of the summer, and that also slowed down the car movements from shippers to consignees. Another article that we have in this week's issue is a piece done by contributing editor Christine Nielsen, taking a deeper look at what's going on in the LPG by rail market into Mexico and the petroleum by rail market into Mexico. The country has opened up its markets to imports of petroleum from the U.S. and others and investment. And we had, within the past 2 months, 2 more joint ventures that were signed between Bulkmatic de Mexico and Kansas City, southern New Mexico, to open up a transload terminal for LPG and a unit train terminal for refined products. That's going to get going with LPG this quarter with 2 transload terminals, and then they build it out even further into 2018 with the ability to handle the unit trains with more storage. And also related to that is the fact that Secor and Genesee and Wyoming signed a joint venture to operate the CG Railway, which is a rail-to-ferry service that brings rail cars from Mobile, Alabama, where they connect with a variety of carriers such as the BNSF, CN, CSX, and Norfolk Southern, down to southeastern Mexico. And LPG is carried on those ships. They load 100 cars onto the ships. It's a 4-day sail down to Mexico, and they carry the cars back. Let's see. Also up for us, all the railroads down in the south, on the Gulf Coast and in the southeast, are back in service after Harvey and Irma hit. Down in the Gulf Coast area, KCS this week announced that they'd lifted all embargoes, so they're back operating. And Union Pacific and BNSF were back at full operations late last week. Down in Florida, Norfolk Southern and Florida East Coast announced that they were back up and running as well. Florida is a significant consumer of propane, given that they have the natural gas distribution network is not as strong there as in other locations across North America. And also coming up, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a highlight as to what we have coming up in down the line in the newsletter. We will be taking a look at what's going on with the flat propane forwards curve and how that might impact the storage market, both for underground cavern storage and how that might impact in storing propane or butane in rail cars and holding that for the next season. So thank you very much for tuning in today. It's very exciting to have this up, and we're delighted to see you. Thank you very much.